Hi hams, this is Kevin, AD0IM. It's Field Day 2022. There's going to be a lot of videos about Field Day out there by the time this one gets published, and this one will definitely be one of them. The W0ERH Field Day here in Johnson County, Kansas. I just want to give you a quick rundown on all the activities that have either happened today or are going to happen at some point. So we're about an hour from when Field Day officially starts. The team here came out last night and set up all the antennas and tested out their radios and everything, and then they packed the radio gear up and put it away. We've had some thunderstorms here recently, so nobody wanted to lose anything to that. We had a little rain this morning, but everybody's out here and ready to go, so we'll give you a little tour here station by station. The first thing we did this morning was we had a volunteer examiner session, and we had 6 folks come out and take the test for technician class licenses, and they all passed. And now they're some of them are roaming around the site, looking at the different station setups and getting some orientation there. And then we had a clinic, a contesting clinic put on by John Radio, K0IZ, who is over at our phone station, which is a little bit east of where I'm at. The site here is 1,000 feet east to west, and a little bit less north to south. And so we're a 3A this year, so we got 1 phone, 1 digital, and 1 Morse code station set up. And they're all manned and ready to go right now. We also have a visitor who's just passing through town, and he asked if he could set up his little portable station on the site for a little while and do some work. So a couple of the guys have found a spot for him to set up and make sure he is successful today. So that's what's been happening so far. So we'll get around to each of the stations here as we go, and make sure we try and give you a good look at what Field Day looks like for the club that I'm a proud member of. So be right back. All right, so we're at the Club Digital Station. Ted Knapp, N0TEK, is holding court here. He's got a few visitors who, for reasons that escape my consciousness, are interested in FT8. Actually, I'm quite an FT8 guy when I'm at home, but when I'm out in the field, I don't really get into it that much. Ted, talk about your station here. What kind of gear you got?
So today we're using a Flex 6400 radio tied into a laptop that's running WSJTX, the FT8 software. In addition to that, we have a monitor over here that's got our logging software on it for today, N3FJP. The FT8 software is tied into the logging software, so once the QSO is completed in WSJTX, it will transfer it over into our.
And that's a new feature this year, right? In the past, you've had to have some kind of piece of software in the middle that would make that transaction for you.
And we've had to have 2 operators, one logging and one running the software.
So, all right, so just a little addendum to the clip on the digital station. The antenna they're using is a 80-meter Wyndham. So it's a half wavelength, off-center fed dipole up at quite some distance. I would try and show it to you, but you wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm not going to waste your time with that. But that's the antenna they're using, and they have a lot of great luck with that every year. And so they've got that up again this year. So that's the digital station. Thank you. And this unruly bunch here is the Morse code team. They're a very bunch of hard-working people. I'll try and be quiet. I don't want to wake them up. So we're going to come around. We're going to come around to this side and watch Mike tear some up. The gun still has not gone off, so everyone is just practicing and goofing off at this point. Mike, can you describe the station you guys have set up today?
We have an ICOM 7300 with a main computer pre-programmed for a lot of the basic functions. Other than that, fairly simple, straightforward station.
And you're logging with the same software that all the other stations are logging with?
Yep.
And that's all. Okay, so we're here with Rick, WN4 KPG. I'm not going to show you his face because we're looking at this antenna. Rick's going to explain the antenna a little bit better. Go ahead, Rick.
All right, well what this is, it's a 43-foot vertical, right? And it's actually cut for 40 meters, it's what it's cut for, but then it operates on the harmonics. So ideally it'll operate on 40, 20, and 10. It also operates on 15, that's 3/4 of a wavelength, or 3/8, maybe it's 3/8. Anyway, it'll operate on all those bands. What it is, a vertical ground plane. We have radials coming across the bottom, going across. We have 32 of them going in a circle in a spoke like a wheel. And then the part that radiates, the vertical part, it's being fed at the bottom, and there happens to be a ballam right there. If you'll see, there's at the very bottom is a little square box there. There's a ballam in there to help take it off the line and feed it back to the transmitter.
So the metal pole that I'm staring at is the radiating element.
That's the radiating itself.
All right, so it's just a big, hot piece of metal.
It's a big, hot piece of metal.
All right.
And if you look in the ARL manual, you'll see these examples in the ARL manual.
Right.
And 43 feet happens to be the ideal spot to have something up there on 40, 20, and 10, and 15. If you've got it right at 40, it'll actually be around 50 ohms at the base, a little less, somewhere around 35 to 40.
Okay. And how long are those radials? You said you got 32 of them.
Yeah, they're like 1/8 of a wavelength or so on 40, so I would say 15 to 20 feet.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, thanks very much.
No problem.
All right. So we're at the local Salvation Army comm van, which Herb, NZ0F, had a big part in getting set up. Once well, I'll explain to Herb, how the van came to the Salvation Army and what it took to get it outfitted, and just what it's capable of doing. It's pretty.
So okay, so this is Saturn communications van for the Kansas Western Missouri Division of Saturn, which is the ham radio support arm for the Salvation Army Emergency Disaster Services. So we respond when the Salvation Army goes out to big disasters and provides feeding and hydration and spiritual support for the people that are affected by the disaster. This is actually the 3rd generation of vehicle that we've had. We started out with a little trailer about the size of a small U-Haul trailer, and it was all homebrew, kind of put it together, and then we got that goes back about 15 years. And then about 8 or 9 years ago, we were able to get a hold of a canteen, one of the, it looked like a big box on the back of a van, that was converted then into a communications vehicle. And through all of those, we've learned what to do and what not to do, mostly what not to do. So this one came along because we got a grant from the Ford Motor Company, a very sizable grant, that covered the cost of the vehicle itself and about 75% of what we call the upfitting, which is all the interior finishes and equipment, things like that. And then we were able to get other donations, in-kind donations and monetary donations from various people to finish it all out. So we have 3 2-meter 440 stations. We've got laptop computers at each one of those. We've got 2 HF radios. We've got an ICOM IC7300 and an old FT897. We've also got 220 megahertz capability. We've also got an APR station running in here. And it's, it was all put together as kind of a group effort with a lot of the stuff. A company called Van Do It did all the interior structures and counters and things like that. And we came in and obviously put in all the radios. This is going to be our Get on the Air station for Field Day. And it has served, this one and the previous generation of vehicle served as our Get on the Air station for the Johnson County Club for the last several years. So I'm glad to have it out here in Johnson County. Had a great deal of influence, or had a great deal of, made a big contribution to help us put this together. So,
Right.
but it is fully self-sufficient. It is about 300 amp hours of battery on board. And a big 2,000 watt inverter, so we got 120 volt power. The only thing we can't run off batteries is the rooftop air conditioner, so we got to have shore power for that. But if we need air conditioning, we just start the vehicle and run the vehicle and run the vehicle air conditioner. It's got dual air conditioner, so it stays nice and cool in here. So
do you have connections on the exterior for solar panels? And
we can do solar. We do have a solar connection on the outside of it. So we do have a solar controller in here. And a shore power connection that we can use too. And we've got permanently mounted antennas. We got 6 permanently mounted antennas on the roof that cover all our 2-meter 440 equipment, and our APERS and our 220 and our, we got one more. We got the FT897 can do 2 meters and 440. So those are permanently mounted, but they all come wired down to a patch panel down there, back there and back. And then we've got 3 connectors that you can, back there by Dave, where we can take cables out through the floor. We've got an HF antenna set up out here, and we're running that up through the floor. And again, that goes back to the patch panel. So to change antennas or to select antennas for any given radio, you just got to change a couple jumpers and you're off and running. So the setup on this thing is incredibly easy. The antennas on the roof are on a motor operated thing, so they lay down when you're en route or on the road, and then you can stand them up with a couple switches in the back there. So literally you can get this on site, and you can be up and operational in 5 minutes. So that was part of what we designed it to do, and it works very well for that. So
well, very cool. Can you guess how many man hours went in after the uplift was done?
Oh boy!
And you had to outfit it with the comm gear.
Maybe not. Well, there are probably more man hours involved in the planning and design of this than there was the actual execution. Van Duet did a great job, and we worked very closely with them to get all the racks and everything, all the pre-wiring done. But there was a team of about a half a dozen of us that spent pretty much all day one Saturday and then got about 90% of this done.
Wow.
There's been a lot of tweaking and a lot of little details that have been taken care of since. But the other beauty of that is Van Duet did all the power stuff. They did all the batteries, the inverter, the charger controller. That's all their design. So we didn't have to do any of that. All we had to do was the radios and the computers, and being hams, we know how to do that. So
darn right. Okay. Well, thanks, Herb.
You bet.
Appreciate it, and have fun today.
You too.
All right, so our next stop today is the station education tent, which is really just one end of the larger welcome tent that we have set up out here. This is a tent that we paid a vendor to install for us, and it'll be here till close of business tomorrow, 1300 Central Time. So, and what's going on over here in the education tent is we got a little 2-meter activity down the way here. So here at the education table, what I've done is I've set up some gear that just kind of for the new ham shows what it takes to build your first radio station, whether it be a 2-meter or an HF station or a 440. It doesn't matter. They all need the same components by and large. So starting at the right here, I've set up a little display of a few handheld radios, and each of the placards describes their use and what to expect to pay for the items, depending on what kind of model you're going after. This is not very granular level of detail here, but I think it's important for people to know what they're getting into here. So here's our HTs. Got a couple of study guides here. I think they're both obsolete, but they served me well. Got a copy of the band plan sitting here for people to look at. One of the members brought a practice oscillator and a straight key out, in case anyone was interested. Those kind of look like museum pieces to me. I'll let you tell me what you think. Then as an example of a power supply, we got our hands on a 30 amp switching power supply, just to show people that you do need a power supply. You need some way to get 13.8 volts from your wall outlet in your home to your radio, and obviously the power supply does that. All the experienced hams know that. There's a little price guide on those kinds of devices, depending on whether they're switching or linear. So price is subject to change, folks. Then a little further down, you can also see the power cable running from the power supply to my FT891, which you've seen if I've done, if we've done any POTA videos. And this represents all the HF transceivers. It's small and it didn't weigh very much. That's why I brought it out today. And we include a little price guide for HF transceivers. 100 watts, 1.5 to 50 megahertz. So actually that says 60 megahertz. I think that's wrong. But anyway, so a little help for people to understand how much an HF rig costs. Then I put a couple of examples of tuners here. And there's a manual tuner from MFJ and the ubiquitous LDG auto tuner. So we kind of try and explain what the tuners do a little bit and how much to expect to pay for them. And then out here in the field, well, actually, we'll back up just a little bit here. And right here in the tent, I have hung a 6-meter dipole so people can look and see how an antenna is constructed. And 6 meters was perfect for this because it's not very long. So I could hang it here in the tent. People could actually get up close to it and look at it. And this particular antenna has been a big hit today. A lot of people stopping and looking at that who don't really understand what it takes to get your first antenna up in the air at your home after you've gotten your license. So, and then out here a little bit further in the field, I've got a 10-meter dipole mounted vertically on this spider beam mast, and I've got the coax running down to the side of the tent here to demonstrate that if you're going to use a dipole in a vertical orientation, you've got to get your coax at as close to a right angle as you can coming off of that mast for a little bit before you take it vertical down to your equipment. This antenna, none of these antennas are plugged into anything. They're not live antennas. They're just here to demonstrate the different kinds of antennas that you can simply either get your hands on or make and use as your first antenna. There's a 20-meter dipole that's mounted in an inverted V on a painter's pole. I have a separate video just on painter's pole antennas, or painter's pole dipoles. So you can look for that on the channel here. And that's it. That's what we have going on at the station education tent. So thanks for watching. So this is Ray, K0RSE. Ray is manning our Talkin Station today. So as people call on the radio and maybe need directions or maybe offering to bring ice or cold drinks out to the site, Ray's giving them what we need and how to get it here and where to put it when they get here. And he's using this really cool looking Go box that he's put together recently. So Ray, why don't you tell us about this thing?
Okay, first of all, I cannot take credit for putting it together. Primarily Herb, NZ0F, was responsible for getting that taken care of for me.
Okay, well, good.
We took an old Go box ammo can that was one of those with the old Chinese little small radios.
Right.
Excuse me.
That's just Jamie. Let him go.
Yeah. And what we did is we cannibalized the panel here, the battery, and the power switch, but took out that 10-watt radio and put a Yaesu FTM 300 in, and naturally it's a better box than that 50 caliber ammo can, an Apache box, and that's all I can say about it. It's a very strong KISS operation, and that's what it was designed for, being a Go kit. The antenna we're using is to the left over there. It's a Diamond 5/8 wave dual band, and we also have a Diamond, a much bigger one, that can be set up on a mast and a tripod when weather conditions permit.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Ray. So out here at the phone station right now, the one voice station that we have for the club setup, the gun has just gone off, and the bands have descended into the predictable chaos. So I'm going to keep my distance here for a minute and just kind of let you know how the phone station is set up. They like to use a logger and then an operator, and they'll do that for about an hour or so, and then the person who's logging will jump in and begin operating, and the operator will take a break. Now these guys are using a IC7300 with a bunch of solar power and a 300-foot ladder line dipole antenna that's at about 50 feet high, and it's in kind of a flying V formation. And I'll try and get out in the field and show that. We'll get a little closer to the station here now. The captain of the team is John, N0IZ, and he's a champion contester, and really he's been doing this a long time and really knows what he's doing. And he's the fellow that designed this antenna and got an article published in QST about it. So Apparently we're running into some technical issues there. But there's the feed point for the flying V antenna, and you can see the ladder line elements going off in their respective directions, but there's 150 feet plus of those going in each direction, so it's a pretty stout antenna. It takes a little bit to put up, but you know, we had enough people yesterday to get that done, so so there we are. Let's just listen for a minute.
Roger. I need your section. I need your report, please.
Twice as much, no throughput.
Okay, Foxtrot Tango Victor, Foxtrot Tango Victor, we are 3 Alpha Kansas, but I need your prefix, please.
Whiskey 8, Foxtrot Tango Victor, 2 Alpha Ohio.
Thank you for Ohio. Have a good one. This is Whiskey 0 Echo Romeo Hotel, QRZ.
November 1, Tango November.
November 1 with November, 3 Alpha Kansas. Need your full call.
Roger. November 1, Tango November, N1TN, 2 Alpha, Mike Echo.
Thank you, TN, for Mike Echo. Got you in the log. Whiskey 0 Echo Romeo Hotel, QRZ.
W0ERH W9 Tokyo, America.
W9TA, big signal, 3 Alpha Kansas.
Roger. QSL 1 Delta, Wisconsin.
Thank you for Wisconsin, QRZ.
Whiskey 9, Foxtrot Kilo. Whiskey 0 Foxtrot Kilo.
So that's our club field day setup out here. All the stations are busily making contacts now. It's a little bit after 1 o'clock Central, so field day has officially begun. But you know, as you see in the different clips, you know, a lot of members of the club have already been at this for 24 hours, getting everything set up and making sure that we put on as successful a field day as we can. It's our first field day in 2 or 3 years where we've actually been able to advertise that we're out here, and we have had a fair number of folks come in that aren't hams expressing interest, in addition to the folks that came in to test with us today, and a lot of those folks were hanging out over at the voice station watching John operate and enjoying the show. So it's I think it's going to be a very successful field day. I'm only going to be here today. I will not be out here tomorrow. And we're expecting some storms tonight, maybe. So I will be packing up the station education gear and taking it home later today. The club is hosting a little barbecue dinner for the membership tonight in the big giant tent over there. And I'm going to be out of the way for that and be home just kind of resting. I've been out here. I was out here quite a bit yesterday. And I've been out here since 7 a.m. local time today, and it's hot and it's humid, and I'm kind of beat. So, and I haven't even operated. You know, I'm just doing some of the other things. So that's it from Shawnee Mission Park officially in Johnson County, Kansas, and it's in the city of Lenexa. You can look it up on the map. And this is the W0ERH Johnson County Radio Amateurs Club Field Day. And I'm your host, Kevin, Alpha Delta Zero India Mike. I hope that, because by the time this is posted, field day will be over. I hope everyone had a happy and safe field day. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody else's videos to see how it went. Thanks, everybody. 73.